So, you know how I said the Vampire Diaries was my favorite season finale this year? Yeah, that's changed. Hey guys, it's Kevin again. This is gonna be my review for the Americans Season 2, Episode 13, the season finale, Echo. Holy shit, guys. Oh my god. I love this episode. I loved it so much. It was a fantastic episode. And it was such a great finale. Seriously, the best season finale of the year, in my opinion. Of the season finale season, this was the best season finale. Because of the way they ended things in the season finale, and I can't wait for season 3. I can't wait for season 3 because it's gonna be amazing. The way they ended this season was awesome. And the direction that they're going in, I can't wait. It's just wow. That's all I can say is just wow. I loved everything that happened in this finale, and I can't wait to talk about it. So let's just get right to it. So, we see Phillip and Elizabeth, they're sitting in their car waiting for the signal from Fred. While they're waiting for Fred, they start to talk about Paige. And, Phillip says, oh, I hope Paige is doing okay, and everything. And basically, Elizabeth is talking to him, telling him that, why she was so harsh to Paige. And I love that we actually got this reveal. I didn't think they'd ever reveal this to us because I didn't think it was that big of a deal. I mean, it was a big deal, but I never thought that we'd actually get an answer. And I thought that was great. We actually find out that it's not only that Elizabeth was a KGB agent, that's not why she's so jealous of Paige. She's upset with Paige because when she was Paige's age, she had to take care of her aunt when she was sick, and because of that, she never had any free time. So, I thought that was actually a really great reveal, the way they did that. I was really happy with that, and I actually really love that because, I was really hoping we would get an answer to that on why she was so harsh, and, now we know that she basically is jealous of her daughter, which is a pretty big thing. I mean, one of the big messages to this season is Paige is so much different from Elizabeth, and we're already starting to see that. So, I mean, that was just a big thing, and I love that part right there. I never thought we'd get that reveal, but that was fantastic. Then Fred does call them from a payphone, and he says that he dropped the stealth intel called Echo that he stole in the dumpster. And he has now been shot. He's bleeding. He doesn't really know what happened. He's bleeding badly. He's gotten shot. And after an altercation with the guard at the factory, they then pick up the package he left for them in the dumpster. And then they overhear on the police scanner that they have captured Fred and he is dead. So, I mean, that was a huge thing right there. We got this really good song playing in the background. I love when the Americans play, like, really calm music, and they have really intense montages. I mean, really intense montages. I mean, FX does a great job with that in general, but the Americans especially does a really great job with that. I love the way they do that, and I mean, they've done it so well with that for 3 songs. Here Comes the Flood, It Must Be Done, and now this one. I love the song they play in the beginning, because while this is also going on, we also see Paige. She's protesting, and it seems like everything's going okay until the police come. The police throw Pastor Tim against somewhere, and basically we don't know what happens. But then when she returns home, she tells them what happens, and I mean, that just the way they started, I was just like, oh my god, this is gonna be an awesome finale, because just the way they started, I knew what I was getting myself into, and I loved it. The Paige returns home, fills her parents in on the protest she went with her church group. She reveals that the pastor actually got arrested after he chained himself to the gate of the army base, and she also informs him that she is moved by the protest. She was very happy with this protest. She liked being a part of it. This is what she likes to do. And she then proceeds to tell them that Jesus is what inspires her. It's not that she respects Jesus, it's that Jesus inspires her to be a better person. And I thought that was definitely really good, because we did get some conclusion to that, and I really did enjoy that. So yeah, that was really good. So after Paige goes to bed, Philip heads to Martha's. He's now disguised as Clark, of course, because he has to keep that. He doesn't want, them to find out that he's Clark, obviously, so he has to keep that, hidden from, he doesn't want, Martha to find out, the truth of him, so obviously he's Clark. But the thing I'm wondering is, how is Martha so damn gullible still? Like, seriously. She's working for Stan. She is working for Stan now. She knows that there is some sort of KGB agent out there. And, it's just like, how gullible can you be? I really hope Martha finds out next season. But, he talks to Martha about her sudden urge to have children. I thought that was definitely really strange when she told him that. But that was, very interesting, but he basically tells her that he does not want children because obviously he has Paige and Henry, and you know he doesn't want any other children from Martha because Elizabeth is his true love, so he doesn't give one shit about Martha really. He apologizes to her since she clearly does want children, and he also he then gets up to go get a drink. And when that happens, he then gets a call from Elizabeth. And obviously, since he's still Clark, he can't blow his cover, so he has to pretend that it's his sister calling. So in their own little disguised way, she tells him that Larry isn't in Nicaragua, and basically she tells him that he is responsible for Kate's disappearance, and he has to get out of there, and they have to go home. They then race upstairs, pack their bags, their kids get out of town before he comes to them. And they literally go up to their kids and they're like, "Hey kids, we're going on vacation. Come on, come on, come on, get all your stuff, come on, it's so exciting." And you can see Paige like, "What the fuck is wrong with my parents?" That's literally what she's thinking. I mean, she didn't actually say that, but seriously, that was the look she had on her face. It was just like, something's going on here, because obviously Paige is very suspicious. We know that she's suspicious, so it definitely was a pretty big, I thought that was definitely very interesting, because we really haven't seen much more of Paige being suspicious in a while, but I loved getting the reintroduction of that in this episode, because obviously we had to see that, and I thought that was fantastic, and I was really just, that whole thing was just so big. So they go on this road trip, as they're calling it. They go into a motel, and they told Henry and Paige they were going on a surprise vacation. They're actually at a safe house in the woods nearby the cabin where Jared is staying, because Elizabeth needs to go get Jared. Go get Jared out. That's where they need to. That's where they need to do. They need to get Jared to where he needs to be. So she then heads to the safe house to where she left Jared to check on him. Little does she know, though, Larry is in the woods watching them with a pair of binoculars. I mean, that is really big there. I thought that was really that was great. That was a really great scene there. So Phillip then heads into town, and Larry sneaks up behind him, pulls out a gun behind him, and I'm just like, oh, he's not gonna kill Phillip, is he? And then, I mean, that was just really big. And, the big thing here is that I thought the other really great thing was that Elizabeth finally told Jared what she actually looks like. And, I mean, it's great, but at the same time, I kept thinking, is this going to backfire on them? Is Jared, not as trustworthy as they think he is? That's what I kept thinking. And we'll talk a little about that a little bit later, but then after this, we see Paige and Henry, and Paige is getting very suspicious. We see this. Paige is growing increasingly suspicious of her parents. The fact that they dragged them to a random cabin in the middle of the woods in the middle of the night, and then both disappeared. She's talking to Henry. Henry's like, "Oh, it's fine, it's just a vacation. Mom's out in the woods, Dad's grocery shopping," and Paige is like, "Do you realize that they're never around? Where they left us stranded in a motel?" I mean, Paige was being very reasonable. She was asking some reasonable, opinions and some reasonable questions, because it's just like, I'm out here all alone, not knowing where my parents are, not knowing why they left me here, and I'm stranded in a motel. It's just not safe. I mean, Paige is just thinking, what the hell is my parents' logic? Seriously. I really like this whole Paige is getting suspicious thing, because it's going to be great to see next season, which I will talk about the direction we're going in a little while. Then the shit hits the fan, because Jared and Elizabeth are walking out of the woods, collecting wood. Larry sneaks up on them, takes them captive, walks them to his car, and he handcuffs Elizabeth, and he pops the truck. And I had no idea what was going to happen there. Honestly, I thought something really bad was going to happen to Phillip and Elizabeth. I talked about this in my review, and I thought something really bad was going to happen to them. Instead, Phillip is actually already inside that trunk. That's where he put Phillip. So he's about to put Elizabeth in the trunk. But then, Jared pulls a gun out of his pocket, and when Larry isn't looking, shoots him in the shoulder, and then Larry shoots Jared in the neck. So, Larry is dead, and Jared is in the process of dying. I thought that was fantastic, the way they did that. I mean, when Jared shot Larry, I was just like, oh. And here's where the episode just got awesome. I love this next scene. I thought this was fantastic, and I absolutely love this next scene. It was probably the best scene of the episode, just because the way it was constructed. It was fantastic. Elizabeth and Phillip are about to take down Larry. They kill him. They rush to Jared's side. He's lying on the ground bleeding. They're trying to get him help because, Elizabeth is like, "Oh, we're going to get him help and everything." But Jared said, don't get help. And he then reveals to them the huge truth, and I loved hearing this. I love this twist. I would have never suspected this, and that's one of the things I love about The Americans, is that it is completely unpredictable. It is not a predictable show. It's a show that always throws me for curveballs, and this was just probably the biggest twist on the entire show. Because we found out that he kept talking about Kate in this episode. We don't know why. Turns out he was in love with Kate. Him and Kate were in a relationship together. And, he and Kate were planning on working together. And, starting a relationship together. So, I thought that was pretty big. And he kept saying, you have to tell Kate this. You have to tell Kate I love her. You have to tell Kate that she's going to be okay. Kate is dead. So, I mean, there's nothing they can do about that. He then reveals to them that Emmett and Leanne, he knew about his parents this whole time. When Stan told him, he already knew. So, he already knew, and we finally see that rage that he's been holding back. He says, my whole life was a lie. Everything I knew was a lie. And he said, my parents told me the truth. And basically, Emmett attacked him. Leanne was about to attack him. So, he was the one that shot his parents and his sister because, his sister was, he said, she was hysterical, and she would have told the police, and yes, it was a bad move, but I had to do it. And I was just like, oh my god, because seriously, I was just like, wow. I mean, I think that's one of the first scenes in The Americans in a long, I mean, this whole season's been amazing. But that scene, I went into, complete shock. I was just like, wow. Because seriously, I would have never suspected that Jared was the one that did it. I would have never suspected it, and I thought that was a fantastic reveal, and I was just like, I mean, seriously, that was great. That was amazing the way they did that. I love that. I was just like, wow. I mean, seriously, it's huge, because all this time, we thought Jared was this innocent kid who knew nothing about his parents, who just watched his parents die, when this whole time, he was the one that killed them. It's no wonder why he didn't react he didn't react, as big as I thought he would react when he found out his parents were KGB, because he already knew. I just thought that was a fantastic reveal, and I love that. And the thing is, he had to die, because if he would have lived, he probably would have turned against Elizabeth and Phillip. And Elizabeth and Phillip are in complete shock at this point. They don't know what to do. They don't know what to do. They have no idea what's going to happen next. So they head home with Paige and Henry as if nothing happened, and basically they realize, we need to get out of here because it's not safe here. They then arrive to their house, and in the middle of the night, and Paige and Henry head up to their bedroom. So it seems like everything is, fine there. It seems like everything's fine between them at this point. There's nothing else really to talk about. They start to talk about how shocked they are and everything and what to do next. And basically, since Jared is dead, Elizabeth and Phillip then meet up with Claudia because, Kate is dead, so now they need a handler, and the only one left is Claudia. Now they know they can trust Claudia. And Claudia tells them that, she had nothing to do with it. They're blaming Claudia for Jared. They're literally blaming Claudia for Jared. And I'm just thinking, why would Claudia have anything to do with Jared? She literally says, I had nothing to do with this. I knew nothing about it, and you can't accuse me of this. And basically, it turned out that she actually sent Kate to recruit Jared as a second-generation illegal. Basically, what this means, and I love where this is heading, basically, a second-generation illegal is someone who, since the spy's children are American citizens, they can infiltrate the American government as politicians and agents, and then eventually turn against them. So, what they're going to do is they're going to make it look like they're on the American side, but then, turn against them and reveal, oh, by the way, I'm a Russian spy. I thought that's a really great thing that they're heading towards. But now that Jared is dead, they have a very important, a very big decision to make, and they can't say no to this, because Claudia even says, this is completely out of my control. Basically, because this happened to Jared, the center wants to order Paige to become the next second-generation illegal. And it's just like, I was like, holy shit, because seriously, Paige is going to be a second-generation illegal. It's huge now, because the biggest thing is, now Paige, they have to tell Paige everything. She says, you have to tell Paige the truth, you have to tell her what's going on, and they say, absolutely not. Phillip says, absolutely not, we are not doing this to her. And Claudia says, well, you have no choice. You know, the center is forcing you to do this. You have to do this. These are orders. This is not a, you know, I'm not asking you to. This is an order. You must do this. And I was so shocked when this happened because I seriously would have never suspected that this would happen with Paige. I knew that Paige was going to somehow find out in this finale. I knew that. I knew that they were going to somehow get to that big reveal, that someone was going to find out. But I didn't think it would be this way. I thought Paige was going to find out on her own from, like, spying on Phillip and Elizabeth, because that's what she's been doing all this time, is spying on Phillip and Elizabeth. So I thought that's what she was going to do. But that's not what she's doing at all. Instead, she's planning to, you know, they want her to become a Russian spy. So it's a really big thing they have to do. So basically, the next thing we see is that Philip pays Arcadia a visit, because he doesn't know what he wants to do. He knows he has to do this. What he says to Arcadia is very, very important, because I'm really interested in seeing where this is going to go. He tells Arcadia that if the organization goes anywhere near Paige without their permission, basically if they do anything to harm Paige, he and Elizabeth are not only done with their relationship, they're done working for him. They're just done. And when they says we're finished, you know, me and my wife are finished, he doesn't just mean me and my wife are finished as a couple. He means they're finished as, you know, Russian spies as well. So that's a huge thing. And if, you know, I kind of have a feeling something really bad's going to happen next season. And then next season, they're not going to be KGB agents anymore, because that's really important what Philip just said. And I really feel like it's foreshadowing something. I really do. And I feel like it is. So the very last scene, very, very important. He heads home, and Elizabeth and him do not know how they're going to reveal this to Paige. They're literally, just think about it. If you had to tell your daughter, by the way, everything we're doing, you know, we're spies, we've been spied this whole time, and you have to help us. They'd just be like, seriously, are you crazy? Tell me the truth. Like, seriously, if my parents told me that, I would not believe them. I would not believe someone who says I'm a KGB spy, because it seems unreal. It really does, and Paige, I think, is gonna believe them, because she's been spying on them this whole time. She's been very worried this whole season, so if she finds out, she'll be like, okay, that makes sense. But I don't know how Paige is gonna react to this. I'm really looking forward to that. Basically, Elizabeth says maybe this is a good thing that they're doing. You know, she thinks that they should consider allowing Paige to become a second-generation illegal. But Philip says, no, we're not doing this. It's gonna destroy her. And basically, Elizabeth says, haven't we already destroyed us? You know, basically what she's saying is that we chose this, and because we chose this, this is why it's happening. So there's really nothing we can do about it. And the last scene, we see Paige, she goes over to Elizabeth, they sit down and eat dinner, and it ends. So, what is going to happen now? I have no idea. We're going to talk about that in a second, but let's quickly go to Stan. Stan this episode, also really, really big. I can't wait to see where Stan goes next season. You know, Stan in this episode, he has to get that information on Echo that he needs to give to the Soviets in exchange for Nina's freedom. Because if you remember, Arcadia said, if you give us that information, we won't do anything bad to Nina. You know, and even Arcadia pays Stan a visit in the middle of the night. And basically he tells him, he gives him instructions on where to drop off the Echo information. He tells Stan that if he makes the drop, they'll let Nina go. Nothing bad will happen to Nina if they, you know, if they don't do anything bad to Nina, if he gives that information to them and gives that video to them, they won't do anything bad to Nina. Nina's gonna be fine unless he, you know, if he does what they want him to do. So, before this happens, though, you know, Stan, he doesn't know what to do. He actually has this nightmare about, Bonnie's new lover that she's leaving him for. He has a dream that he came into his office, and he's, like, having a nightmare about that, and that was definitely very interesting. And then basically we see he then heads into the work the next day. He's very kind of scared because of that dream he just had. He's hoping it doesn't come true. He then learns that Jared has been reported missing by his foster parents, and, you know, we know what happened there. But then basically he heads to the location where he's supposed to make the drop as instructed by Arcadia. It turns out though that someone comes along, picks up the package. Arcadia heads to Nina's office and reveals that all Stan left was a note saying, tell Nina I'm sorry. He could not go through with it. He tried to, but he could not go through with it. And I just thought that was so big. You know, Stan he couldn't go through with it, and he didn't. So, basically, the men come to escort Nina back to Moscow, and they put her on trial for treason. So, basically, Nina's gonna die. Nina has been sentenced to death, because Arcadia warned him. He said, look, he said in the last episode, I'm gonna warn you that if you don't give that information, we're gonna kill Nina. So, basically, I don't think we're going to see Nina die. I think Nina's probably going to be dead next season, and we're going to find out next season that she died. Or, you know, Stan's going to have to find a way to stop them from killing her, because I think he really does love Nina. We know he does. So, that's definitely going to be really interesting as well. But this finale was just, oh my god, it was so, so good. So much great acting in this episode. I loved everything about this episode, and let me just say one thing about this episode. As I said, this is my favorite season finale of the entire year, because I think it was just a fantastic, fantastic finale. I loved everything that happened in it. It was so, so intense. So many great scenes in this episode, just so, so good. Let's talk about next season. Basically, I don't, what Phillip does not realize is that they have no choice but to send Paige, to do this, because Claudia said this is an order. You have to do this. They have to do it. They have no choice but to do it. So, they're going to have to tell Paige. I think what's going to happen is next season we're going to see, that dinner scene. The first scene is going to be that dinner scene, and we're going to see them probably be very awkward towards Paige, and then by the end they're going to tell her the truth. Paige is going to find out one way or another. Either they're going to tell her, or she's going to find out on her own time, because we know she's suspicious, we know that she's spying on them, and I just think it's going to be really awesome to see how she reacts to this, because if they tell her, she might react differently. I'm thinking maybe she'll be like, okay, that makes sense. Or she'll, we know that Paige has been very, very, against her parents all season, and she still is against her parents, basically. However, I think now that, she's even more against them now because they just left them in a motel. I mean, anyone would be upset at their parents if that happened. Anyone would be upset at their parents if they just left them in a motel. I would be upset if that happened, so I mean, that was a pretty big thing there, and I was very surprised by what happened there, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen next. Also, that conversation that Phillip had with Arcady, do you think that's foreshadowing something? I really think that is foreshadowing something for next season, and I think the direction that we're going is next season is going to end with Paige becoming this spy for them. She's going to have to spy. I think Paige is going to have a lot more involvement next year. It's going to probably be a lot more Paige next year, which is great because Holly Taylor's a great actor. She really is. I mean, she's one of the best child actors right now. I really think she is. I mean, she's close to my age, and she is kind of attractive too, so that's a good thing, but, basically, she's just a great actress, and I really think that she's a fantastic actress, and I'm glad that she's getting more scenes, because I love Paige's character, especially this season. I've really enjoyed, it's really got me to love Paige's character more, because she's had so much more focus this season. It's been great. The other thing I've loved about this season has been Stan's plot, Last season, Stan's plot was just kind of, I wasn't as into it. This season, though, I was really, really into it. I love the stuff with Nina. I thought it was fantastic, and I love that. And let me just say that I really love The Americans in Season 1, but Season 2 has made it become probably one of my top 5 favorite shows, just because of how great it's gotten all season long. They've not had one single bad episode, except for ARPANET. ARPANET was just a pointless episode. It was a filler episode, but that's okay, because all the other episodes were absolutely amazing. I loved everything about this season. I thought it was a fantastic season. And also, what's going to happen with Stan now? Because now Nina's been sentenced to death. Is he going to find a way to stop it from happening? I'm very interested to see what's going to happen there. Possibly Stan and Oleg working together. I could see that happening. I could definitely see that because, Oleg loves Nina. Stan loves Nina. Maybe they're going to find a way to bring Nina back. But then Stan's going to have to find out the truth about Oleg and Nina. So, either way, he's going to find out the truth. I just have a feeling Stan's going to find out the truth. And everyone's going to find out the truth about, Philip and Elizabeth next season. I really feel that's where they're going. But, amazing finale. I loved everything about this finale. Let me know what you guys saw about this finale. What are you most excited for next season? I'm most excited for probably Paige becoming a Russian spy. It's going to be awesome to see next season. I can't wait to see, and I'm really looking forward to that. So that's my review. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you guys in my next video, which is going to be for, this mini-series on the CW, which actually looks like a piece of shit, but it could be good. It's called Labyrinth. I'm going to review that, but I'm also going to review the first episode of Gang-related. Those reviews, though, guys, are not going to be up till tomorrow, because I'm going on a field trip tomorrow. My whole chorus class is going to Hershey Park. I'm not going to be back till 10 o'clock, so those reviews are not going to be up till, probably like really late at night tomorrow. So I will review them tomorrow. I promise you guys, because you guys know I love you guys, and I will always put up those reviews for you. But I'll see you guys for those reviews, and yeah, so see you guys for that. All right, bye.